Hey, welcome, B-Siders, to a brand new episode of my podcast. I am super chuffed you're here with me and my guest, of course, which I will introduce to you in just a second. And it's going to be really interesting today if you're one of those people who struggles with their own voice, can't stand listening to your own voice, but you know you need to use it. If that's in your job or your own business, then this episode today is for you. And before we go there, I'm going to introduce to you the wonderful guest who's going to talk a little bit more about that and obviously her own music taste as well. So today I welcome Rachel. Hello, Rachel. Thank you so much for coming on to my podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You're
Good to
very
be
welcome.
here.
Oh, I'm glad we made it. Now, you are a voice confidence coach, and I just love that. That in itself says so much in what you probably do, but we will hopefully dive a little bit more into how you got to that point and how you help people. One thing I do want to mention about you is that you are a trained master coach and a hypnotherapist, which probably comes in handy when you do what you do. And you specialize in helping coaches, therapists, and teachers to find their own voice and get comfortable with that. And I hope that was really quickly in a nutshell what you do, but please feel free to expand on certain parts that you feel would be beneficial for anyone listening to this to know.
Yeah, well, I've come to this because I was working with artists and makers, and I've seen a need for that, like people putting videos and audios and stuff out there, but they're not actually talking, they're using voice overs or they're using slideshows, images, and things like that, and people talking about not liking their voice, which is what's led me to this. And I concentrate rather than on changing your voice, on actually loving the voice that you've got, because most people have who don't like their voice, they've got hang-ups about their voice that often have come from somebody else or experiences in the past, and there isn't actually anything wrong with their voice as it is. It doesn't need to be softer or more authoritarian or have a different accent or no accent or any of these things that people think. So that's where I concentrate on, is getting them comfortable with their voice as it is right now. And then lots of those other things just fall away, like they're hesitating so much, or they're forgetting their words, or not being able to say the words, because all those things are nerves. Those things aren't their voice.
That's a big one. I love that you decided to do that, because even in this day and age where we all do generally either lives or videos, or we hop on Zoom calls a lot like we do now, there is still this hesitation, I guess, of being comfortable with your own voice. And even like replays, I know I used to don't watch replays of myself because I just thought, oh God, no, I can't. And just getting to that stage where you go, okay, well, yeah, that was actually pretty good. There's a room for improvement, but I'm not petrified by it. Is sort of that what you try to achieve through what you do?
Yeah, to be able to listen to yourself back and actually think, actually that was quite good, and I came across quite natural. And like you say, there's always room for improvement. Nothing is perfect, but to be able to accept your voice as as part of you, and it's doing a great job for you, because your voice is communicating. Without your voice, you wouldn't be able to tell someone that you love them. You wouldn't be able to ask for things that you want. There's loads of things that your voice does for you, and it's kind of appreciating your voice and letting go all of that old baggage. Maybe when you were 14 at school or something, you stood up in assembly and all the other kids gave you a hard time, and things like that get lodged in your mind because you were younger then, and it was a big huge deal at the time. And we carry around all this baggage with us that makes us want to hide. Really, there's a part of us going, don't do that, because people might say something, people might not like it. Keep quiet, whatever you do, don't say anything. And it's getting rid of all of that old baggage, so you can actually hear your voice properly, really. And also the other side of it is obviously the practice of getting used to hearing your voice, because obviously as you hear it in your head is not the same as it sounds out in the world. And a lot of people are like, oh, that's weird, that's not me. And it feels really alien. And that part is it's just a matter of practice, just hearing it more and more. Because then your brain's actually quite lazy after a while. Your sort of outside voice and your inside voice, your brain will put the two together and hear them as the same, so it doesn't bother keeping them as separate sounds, because it's always looking for the easiest way, and the pattern match is like, oh, that and that are the same, snap. So with time it just gets easier and easier. It just sounds the same eventually.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really needed right now. I do think a lot of people, yeah, like we said before, struggle with that. Now, what does that have to do with music? Probably people asking themselves. Well, I think I've said that before, and if you listen to my previous episodes, I always say your voice is basically music. It's a sound, and we make music every day with our voice. And if we don't get to like our voice, then that's kind of sad, because it's part of who we are. So that's why I wanted Rachel on, because obviously she can talk about how to start to love your voice, probably for another 2 hours if I would put the spotlight on you. But I also want to start off with learn a little bit more about you, Rachel, about music, and then we're probably going to sort of filter into the voice bit again. Do you love music? And how important is it? And have you got like a favorite type of music that you listen to?
My favorite is probably pop. I like things that you can sing along to. And rather than I don't really follow one artist or anything particularly, but if something's a good tune that you can sing along to, like often I have a radio alarm, and whatever is on the radio that morning, that's my tune for the day. And I drive my partner absolutely insane, because I will just keep singing it over and over and over all day. It gets into my head. I like that sort of energy of the things that you can join in with, and it's that kind of bonding, with other people as well, like when you go to a gig and you all know the words, things like that. That's what I really enjoy about music. And also it's that changing how you feel, isn't it? And being a companion to how you feel. I've always found through life it's there as a quiet companion. If you're going through something like a bereavement, there'll be music there for that. Or when you're like a moody teen, there are songs to sing along to. But it's just always so, in a way, it's always so apt, because even like driving to a wedding, and we were going to be late, and we were playing the American Presidents, and on came their song about "We're Not Going to Make It." So we're both singing that at the top of our voices, actually enjoying ourselves while we're going to be late for this wedding. And it just always seems to be there, and just sort of quietly there for you.
Yes. When you say that, in the morning, whatever song comes on your radio alarm, that's kind of your theme for the day. I find that really interesting. I don't know about you, but a lot of times, and I have the same thing, I get woken up by the radio station, and they're generally playing 80s and 90s music, which is sort of kind of my time, that I love music from. And I notice a lot of times the songs actually kind of really fit in with what I'm kind of in the middle at, or what I'm thinking about. But obviously the radio station doesn't know that. So it makes me kind of wonder, is there maybe something else, like, I don't know, the universe, whatever you want to call it, that knows, oh, all right, it's time for Bea to wake up. Let's give her this song by, I don't know, Bryan Adams, because she just needs to hear this song today and that message that's in it. Does that ever happen to you? Like you said, with the car ride to the wedding. But I find that really fascinating. I don't know if that's something that really regularly happens for you, because it does for me, which is
I have actually noticed it through time, because like when my nan was dying in hospital, that Shakespeare's Sisters Stay
Oh.
was really huge in the charts.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously there's the video as well of the guy in the coma and that, and it felt like the song was just for me, because it was expressing how I felt,
Yeah.
because she was also basically unconscious in hospital, so it felt like my song, and I was just a child at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it was listening to it, singing along to it on my own, was helping me express my feelings about it, while all the adults were busy kind of thing with what's going on. It was a way for me to express myself. And it was like, it was there at the top of the charts, at the moment in time that I needed it.
Yeah, I find that so fascinating. Like you, I have certain moments where, not out of nowhere, but it's just so perfect. That timing is so perfect, and it just fits, and you go, how did this happen? So yeah, I totally understand that. So pop music, is it more like 80s, 90s that sort of tickles your fancy? Or is there, some people love 70s, which is pretty cool too. But, is it just pop music in general?
80s onwards, really. I was exposed to older stuff because my siblings are much older than me, and they had like a record collection of like singles, and they'd have things like, It's Raining Men, and I'd be intrigued by the names of things, like a group called Mott the Hoople, and I'd be really, really intrigued by all of this stuff, and really all things, like Tie a Yellow Ribbon Around the Old Oak Tree. Really eclectic mix of stuff. But really, it was the 80s onwards, because Top of the Pops here was big, a music program. And Friday night was all about, you have your tea and then you sit down for Top of the Pops. And that was a big thing in my childhood. And also one of my sisters, when she got married, we used to, in the run-up, be dancing along to Top of the Pops, because she was like, let's practice for the wedding. So we'd be like dancing away to all the tunes on Top of the Pops.
Oh, that is so sweet. I mean, these are really fun memories you got to make through a TV show that is basically, a chart show, what's trending at the moment. That's so cool. I love that. Do you ever talk with your sister about that, going, remember when we used to dance in front of the telly when Top of the Pops was on?
Well, the bit that she remembers is always when the Adamant song, I can't remember the name now,
I think I know which one.
Yeah, the one where he goes, you don't drink, you don't smoke, what do you do? And I was only a kid, so I was thinking, what do I do? So I was like, I eat. And of course they all thought that was hysterical. And to this day, it's still one of those things, that gets brought up. Remember when you said that?
Oh, that's so funny.
Remember when I asked you, and what did you say?
But I mean, that's kind of a logic answer, I think, isn't it? I think
especially
so.
When you're a kid, it's like, well, I don't drink or smoke, do I? So
I'll eat. Oh, that's pretty cool. I love that. So is there, I mean, you said you obviously haven't got a specific favorite artist, but is there anything, any specific moment or any sort of message that you remember that this music gave you when you were growing up? Were there any moments that you remember, like, oh yeah, music played a really big part, and apart from obviously the Top of the Pops bit, like anything, I wouldn't say profound, but sometimes you have these moments in life where you go, gee, I was so glad music was there for me, because otherwise, I don't know. Are there any sort of that you remember?
It's more sort of been little small highlights along the way. I mean, it's more been that sort of constant companion type thing. Like when I met my partner, Tease Me was playing Chaka Demus and Pliers, and I suppose that was probably instrumental in us becoming partners, because that we danced because of that song, because that song was really, a really good tune. Because before that, I had no interest in I had no interest in him. We were just sat there in a group of friends, and then we just decided to get up, and dance to this song. So if not for that song, maybe we wouldn't be partners. I don't know. But yeah, it's just always, it's one of those things. It's just always been there, like for different moments of life and for bonding with people. Because like my sister, one of my sisters can play music. She can read music, and I can't. So when I was little, I had one of those little keyboards that's also a calculator. So it's got numbers on. So we used to watch Dallas. Dallas was really big at the time. So she had a book of lots of tunes, and she had the Dallas theme tune. So she converted it to numbers for me. So when we were watching Dallas, I could play along with the theme tune.
Oh, wow. You were probably very proud of yourself for being able to do that, weren't you? Yeah.
I was, yeah.
I used to just sing along to it because my mum used to watch it. We used to watch it together, even though it was really late at night. Back in Switzerland, I think it was about nearly 10 o'clock at night they showed it, and obviously I was still very young. But yeah, I used to sing along.
It's part of like relationship building as well, because with my partner as well, he used to send me mixtapes of the sort of things he was listening to, but things I've never heard of, because he used to stay up late at night and watch like American and Canadian music shows. So he got me into the Barenaked Ladies that I'd never heard of before.
Have I? I'm not sure I have.
They do the Friends theme tune. Friends.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's one of those. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that rings a bell now. Thank you.
So he got me into them and going to their gigs and things like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think music does that. It's a really community building thing, or friendship building, or relationship building part of our life. Absolutely. And like you said, it I don't know if you agree with this, but I feel like it's like this thin red line that kind of just weaves itself through our lives, and it's there, but sometimes you don't realize it is. And then you look back and you go, oh, yeah, I remember that and that and that. And then there's a matching song that goes with it. So it's like you said, it's a constant companion. Very reliable too, I would say.
Yeah. And a bit of a crutch sometimes as well, because like at university, I wasn't like a dancer, in nightclubs, but like Wigfield Saturday Night would come on, and it was, and everybody knew the moves, so you could just all do it together. So again, it was like a bonding thing. You didn't have to be able to dance or anything to be able to do it and join in.
Yeah. Or do you remember the Macarena? Or Mambo Number 5? These are all sort of those songs where you have a specific dance to, and you just, as silly and as stupid as it really is, it's just so much fun if you can do it with other people. And it's probably
good for weddings and things like that as well.
God, yeah. Or when you're out on a Friday night in the pub. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Right. Now, with your business and working with clients, do you integrate music somehow? Is that something you do or have ever thought about doing, or is it literally just with their voices? How does that kind of work?
Well, doing hypnosis, I obviously do. While I do hypnosis and meditation and things like that, but with meditation, I've always shied away from using music because it can be quite personal to people. Because I know sometimes when I listen to meditation audios myself, sometimes the music puts me off if it's not my kind of music. So I don't use it in that way. But when like I do hypnosis with people, it's all about engaging their senses. So their sense of in whatever it is they're imagining, what can they taste, what can they touch, what can they see and feel. So I invite them to listen for what they can hear, whether that's their favorite song, or maybe it's bird song, or whatever works for them, for whatever we're trying to evoke in that moment, whether they want to be like relaxed or excited or whatever that is, they can evoke that for themselves without me contaminating it with my ideas of what is, you know, good music or happy music or anything like that. So it's their own internal experience, and also using it as an anchor. So if you recreate, if you create a fantastic experience in your mind, like of being in the flow of giving that talk or whatever that is, and you've got that music there, then that can be an anchor for you outside of hypnosis. Maybe you listen to that song, you know, before you make your video or your audio or whatever it is that you're going to do, to help you to re-evoke that feeling inside.
Yeah, that's true with the meditation. I think everyone has very specific taste in what kind of music works for them. So I understand that. And I also, I also think that having an anchor song is really cool. I remember one of my business coaches once said to me, I was planning a webinar, and she said to me, you know what, listen to a song that pumps you up about 10 minutes before the webinar, just to get your energy onto that level that you want to portray and get across to people attending your webinar. And I did it, and it worked. It was really cool, like listening to the song and then hopping on it. And yeah, I could tell the difference. So is that something that you want to achieve with your clients, like the similar thing?
Yeah, and sometimes for them it can be two things. Some people think, oh, you've always got to be relaxed, but not necessarily. Sometimes it is you want to be more relaxed, like maybe you're recording a meditation or something like that. So you might want to listen to something that's really relaxing and soothing for yourself to get you into that mood. But sometimes, like you say, you want to have more energy, project more energy. So then it's going to be a higher energy song, and maybe you're going to like dance about and that while you're while you're getting prepared. And also with the nerves as well, that sort of shakes off the nerves, you know. Like when you see deer when they've when there's been a lion around or something, and then the danger is over, they just sort of like shake themselves off, and it gets rid of that extra like nervous energy, which us humans don't do. We tend to like keep hold of it for longer. But having a good jumping around can shake that off.
So I'm just thinking about this. Obviously you sort of try to find like an anchor song that they can use if that's for whatever they want to do. Could you have maybe two, perhaps one before you start and then one to either calm you down or whatever it is to shake off that energy? Would that be an idea for people to maybe consider?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Cool. And another thing as well is to start using your voice before you start. Because if you start using your voice when you feel nervous, it can come out sort of like squeaky or whatever. Because I know myself, if I'm walking down the street and I'm not expecting to speak, and then somebody suddenly walks past and says hi, sometimes I'm like, hi, because I wasn't expecting to speak, just some weird sound comes out of me. Yeah. But if you start using your voice beforehand, like singing or something like that, because also singing is good for your nervous system, calms you down. Or if you don't want to sing, if singing isn't your thing, you can do like you can hum, or do like one of those sounds like they use in yoga, the really low sort of that kind of sound on the out breath, because that massages your vagus nerve, which runs from your brain down into your belly, and it connects to lots of your different organs, including your vocal cords. So when you make sounds beforehand, you're doing a twofold job really. You're warming up your vocal cords, but you're also relaxing your whole system in preparation.
Really good tips. And I guess you can use those kind of tools in any situation. It doesn't necessarily have to be if you want to do a business video or whatever it is they want to do. You can just be, if you have a conversation you want to have with your partner or your kids, you want to have a certain energy or calmness, if you can prepare your voice for that, that might be a really good idea too.
Yeah, definitely. And if you want to
Mm.
be more discreet, so you're at a bus stop or somewhere in public sort of
Mm-hmm.
thing, and maybe you're a bit of an introvert, you don't want to like sing or be going woo at the bus stop. You can hum to yourself, because humming has a similar effect and is a
Nice.
bit more discreet.
Yeah. Really good tips. I might even have to think about for myself. I think I'm not doing that just yet. So thank you. I think that's really something to think about.
These are
Right.
good ones.
Yeah. Oh, you probably have more up your sleeve that you're not sharing at the moment, but that's all okay. Now, have you got a song that is your well, the question actually is, and I should ask you straight away and not beat around the bush, is there a song that kind of describes your life and or your business at this moment in time?
I'd say Pink's Get This Party Started,
Cool.
because that's where I feel like I am, because I've done different careers, done different things in life, and it feels like all the different skills that I've picked up along the way are coming together, with the right set of people. It feels like the right moment in time kind of thing for everything to come together. And obviously things change, and maybe in 5-10 years time I'll be doing something different, but at this moment in time it just feels like everything's coming together, because sometimes you do like things that seem to be like random at the time, like how does this connect to that, and it all feels like it's coming together at the right time, that I'm quite excited about what I'm doing at the moment. So that's the song that sums it up for me, how I
Great
feel
song.
about that.
And I'm glad
And I
your
feel it's like
parties.
that for clients.
So go on.
Sorry.
Go on.
I was gonna say, I feel like it's like that for clients as well, when they, when their voice is released and they can do these things they've been wanting to do, for a long time. So suddenly, all the things they've been learning and that as well suddenly get to, bear fruit, because for a lot of people this is the last piece of the puzzle, because they leave it till the last, because it's kind of the most frightening bit. For a lot of people, you can stay in training mode for a long time and think, oh, I'll just learn this extra thing and this extra thing, and just keep in that stage, and then finally you get to the point you have to go out there and tell people about it, and that's the point where a lot of the people come to me.
Yeah. I'm actually in a way amazed it is still like that. It does feel like it's most people are comfortable with their own voices, but obviously, are they just faking it and pretending they're okay? Is that what you feel like is happening?
It's quite interesting actually, because I see people out there, and they're making videos and that, and then they'll comment on something I've done saying, oh yeah, I hate my voice and I'm really uncomfortable, and like, but you're out there, you're doing it. But for some people it doesn't get easier with practice, because they've got that deeper thing inside of it, doesn't feel safe for some reason. They've got something that they need help, to let go of before they can get really comfortable doing it. So even though they're doing it each time, it's kind of agonizing for them, but they're making themselves do it. Whereas most people over time, it's natural to be a bit nervous when you're doing something new. That's the way the brain and the body work, because they're on high alert a bit of like, hang on, we've not done this before. What might happen? We better look out, for any dangers. But over time, it's like, oh, it's okay, that wasn't dangerous. And okay, we did it again, and it still wasn't dangerous. And eventually it gets used to it. But if you've got something else going on, in your head, some baggage from the past, then it can still feel dangerous each time. It doesn't like dissipate. And then you need help. That's a big thing that I help people with, is to find out what is that, and to sort through that, so then they can get on with practicing, and then they get more relaxed doing it over time.
Mm. It's funny, isn't it, how much more there actually is to it than just getting your voice right. Maybe a lot of people don't want to go there because it can be scary to dig out or uncover what actually is holding them back. It might not be that they don't like their voice, it might be something else. So,
It can be a scary thought, but often it's not anything they don't know about.
okay.
It's not like uncovering new memories kind of thing. It's just something they didn't realize it was connected to that. And,
Right.
and they're like, oh, it's about that. And then once you've got that connection, then you can work on that and making them feel safe. And sometimes it's things that people are like, really, it's that? But that's so silly. Because it's something from childhood that they made, something happens and they made a decision about it, or like, I'm never doing that again. That's never going to happen to me again. Or, a belief that, is developed from something that happened. And it can be a tiny incident that as a grown-up, they know, is not significant. But at the time, you haven't got a fully formed brain when you're a small child. And you don't know all the intricacies of things that are going on, in life and the adults around you. So you can interpret things in, wildly different ways. And then you take that with you, through life. Not everybody does, but some people still got that there that they need to sort through.
It's I'm only sort of chuckling to myself because when I looked, obviously, what your description is of what you do, and I sort of thought a lot of people probably think it's very surface level. I just got to get my voice right and then I'm off. But we've just discovered doing our chat that it's actually not the case. There can be small things, but then it can be bigger things that hold a person back from using their voice. So I find that piece very fascinating.
Yeah, because I've had people I've worked with, they've done other courses, they've done all of the sort of voice technique courses, but because they fundamentally believe there's something wrong with their voice, that's just kind of like plastering over the cracks and hasn't really worked for them. Because technique can be important, but if you haven't got that foundation that you're okay, that you are safe and you are worthy kind of thing inside, then the rest of it doesn't have anything to hang on to.
Yeah, absolutely true. Well, I think we had a very interesting conversation around our voices. And that we shouldn't be so hard on ourselves. I feel is one of the cool things that came out for me personally. And
definitely
that our voice is okay as it is, and you shouldn't be so hesitant to use it, and perfection doesn't exist.
And celebrate your quirks.
Yeah,
those little bits of your, like, especially accents. I love accents. I think accents are fantastic. Some people think they shouldn't have one, but like the BBC 1940s presenter voice, nobody needs to sound like that anymore. And the richness of language, different turns of phrase that people have, and as I say, their accents and how accents are affected. I find it fascinating. Accents are affected by the geography of where you come from, which I find really amazing as well. And we've got all this rich tapestry of sound, basically human music around us. And some people still feel that they shouldn't sound like that, which is, I find quite sad.
It is. It's I just think and feel that we all should just kind of go for it and not let things hold us back too much. Because you don't know what you can do if you don't try, and your voice is an integral part of who you are. Definitely. And just give it a bash. What's the worst thing that can happen? You can just, if it's a Facebook Live, just delete it.
That's the thing as well. People avoid thinking about what is the worst thing that could happen. But often if you actually go there and think about it, it's not a lot that could go wrong, really. I mean, if you make a mistake, if you say the wrong word, you just laugh and move on.
Yeah.
And everyone moves on with you.
Yeah. And I can tell you how many episodes, solo episodes I've done or with guests where I finished off and I thought, oh, that wasn't exactly the nicest way of talking or something that wasn't quite right. But then at the end of the day, it just is. You know, it's just the way it is. And I can't go back and change it. I can just learn from it.
And it makes you relatable too, because when people are perfect, it's kind of off-putting when people project perfection.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of robotic.
Yeah.
It's something like not human about it. But when you show your flaws a bit, people are like, oh, they're like me.
Exactly. And you know, how many people have maybe a lisp, or you know, we all have our little quirks, but I think that makes us special and that makes us unique. And why not show that? And especially if you, I mean, obviously I'm an introvert, and I know a lot of introverts who really struggle with using their voice to speak up and out. You just got to slowly try and not be so afraid of what will people think of me, and oh my God, that was bad. So yeah,
because most of the time they're not actually thinking about you either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, isn't there like a saying, what other people think of you is none of your business? I think that's kind of a quote, and I remember that a lot. I think, well, I do what I do because I love what I do and I'm passionate about it, and if people love it, that's great. I'm obviously chuffed about that, but if people don't resonate with it, well, okay, there might be someone else for you out there. And that's something I always try to remember. So hopefully other people
don't think about us half as much as we think they do, because they've moved on to, you know, thinking what they're going to have for dinner later, or, you know, their mind's always moving on.
Exactly. Well, I think that was a really good way of kind of closing out our chat, to not kind of give a damn and just go for it and rip that band-aid off, and it won't hurt for long, if at all. Well, Rachel, thank you so much for sharing, you know, your tips and what you do, and your wise words all around our voice, and that we are worthy of sharing our voice, which is really important. So thank you for all you do, and I hope it all goes well in the future and that party keeps continuing on for you. Yes, and I will put all your details in the episode description, so if anyone is interested in Rachel, what she does, and maybe even working with her, please check it out. I'm sure you're happy to answer any question anyone has.
Yeah.
Excellent. And that's it. Our party's finishing off now. We might party on after we stop the recording, but for now, thanks so much for tuning in, B-Siders. I'll talk to you again very soon. And until then, you keep on dancing and keep on rocking, and take care, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.